What's up, everybody? I'm Kyle Carlson, and this is the Rollback BMX Podcast, the number one BMX podcast in the universe, according to me. This week's guest is Nina Buitrago. Nina is arguably the most important woman in the history of freestyle BMX and continues to keep everything moving today. Nina still kills it on her bike and is actively involved with the UCI, the Vans BMX Pro Cup, the X Games, and numerous other events and organizations. Without her effort and contributions, there's a very good chance women's freestyle would not be where it is today. So listen up, here is the Rollback BMX Podcast with Nina Buitrago. So what's up? We're talking now. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So we are in my living room in San Diego, California, and you live in Texas, and I don't know why you're in California. Explain yourself.
All right. Well, I got an opportunity to hang out in Chula Vista at the Olympic Training Center, thanks to USA Cycling. I broke my wrist at the UCI World Championship back in November, and it's still been giving me some beef, like I've range of motion and all that just it's not where it needs to be, and so they offered me an opportunity to go stay there, work on that, and anything else holding me back physically. They've got some of the best physical therapists and trainers out there, so I said, why not? I'd be a fool to not take up that opportunity. So
are you staying at the Olympic Training Center?
I am, yeah. They've put me up there for a couple weeks, and I'm just learning as much as I can. So
you've been riding freestyle BMX for a long time. Did you ever expect somebody to ask you the question, so are you staying at the Olympic Training Center?
No, that definitely wasn't on my radar. It's weird to even say out loud, to be honest.
How is it? Is it weird down there?
It's not weird. I didn't really have any expectations, but it kind of reminds me of being in college, a dorm-style room, and it's a campus, and there's a cafeteria, there's a gym, and a sports med place, and a couple of really awesome looking BMX tracks around. And,
yeah.
And you get to interact with other, you just see people around. You're like, damn.
What other sports are down there?
Well, that's exactly what I was getting to, is that you see people from anyone that does archery. Then you see like these really ripped people that play rugby that are like working out there. And then some BMX racers and a lot of track and field. That's what I've run into so far. I haven't got to talk to each person, but I have been in small conversation here and there just to be.
So it's been a good experience.
Yeah,
nice.
It's awesome. I mean, some people have been there forever. I'm like, hey, I'm just passing through. Like, what do you guys do here?
That seems like the way to do it. I don't know. I kind of go insane in situations like that. I went to the one in Colorado and it was awesome, but it was like it was very organized, and I was like, I usually get drunk and stumble home, and I'm a bad person. I probably can't be here, but
Yeah, it could be different for some people. I mean, you're away from things like that,
which is perfect for what it is,
Right, yeah.
How do you feel about this whole Olympic thing? I mean, you're kind of throwing it at all different angles, whether it's a UCI rep and also still one of the best riders. Like, what's your take on all this?
Oh, thanks. I think it's really exciting. At first I was kind of all of the feelings about it, like, oh my gosh, what's this going to do to the big picture of BMX? Like, what does this mean? I don't know if I can fully embrace it yet, because BMX has been such an individual, organization.
Anti-establishment.
Yeah, anti-establishment thing. It's like a lifestyle. There's, it means so many things to so many different people. And then really it's happening with or without us, And
yeah.
So, and that's kind of where I felt a lot more comfortable with that avenue opening up, because I realized the rest of BMX is still intact. It's going to be awesome. Everyone in the woods is still going to be in the woods, digging, having a good time, having their jams. And, the big picture of BMX, I mean, for me, I'm looking at it in the light of the women's side of riding. I've seen the women progress so much in just this short time since November, the first ever event that we had with the UCI involved. That's been amazing. I mean, and I'm sure you can attest to that. That's been...
Yeah, but nobody cares what I think.
Right. Well, for me, I'm excited to, I got myself to that first contest and, worked my butt off because I didn't want to miss history. I was like, yeah, right.
Meaning you paid for that out of your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, people, a lot, all supported me wanting to be there. And that was so cool. I mean, I'd been riding so long. I never thought that would be a possibility. And it's hard to accept some of the changes. Like, what? People are wearing uniforms, you know, their federation's jerseys. Like, there's a lot of things that are coming with this that it's hard to get it, like, realize. I mean, I feel like unless you're there and you're experiencing it firsthand, it's not happening, you know, in some way.
Yeah.
So for me to be present and, like, witness this stuff, I'm like, oh, okay.
I was talking to Dennis Anderson when we were in France for the UCI FIS event, and Dennis hadn't been around those events for quite some time. And I kind of forgot what a big change it was, because when you're there, it's a little bit at a time, you know? But a guy like Dennis that hasn't really been to one of those in a long time, all of a sudden there's coaches and guys in jerseys, and these practice times are heavily enforced, and it's like walking into a foreign planet. Like, I didn't know something like this existed, you know?
Yeah.
Not in a good or a bad way, it's just so different, you know?
Yeah. And, I mean, with the avenue moving towards the Olympics, you do need some sort of structure and organization.
Absolutely.
We need a lot more communication and planning, you know, those types of things. And yeah, it's different. It's hard for a lot of us to accept that that's where it's going. But I mean, it's okay. Like, I think this is like the learning curve time period right now where everyone's figuring out what they need to do, how this is going to work, and how we can keep freestyle authentic moving forward, you know?
So where do you stand? Because you are kind of at the helm of everything that involves girls BMX. You know, UCI, athlete rep, is that the formal title? Or what are you, and you're on the board?
Yeah, I'm part of the, so I'm the female representative for BMX Freestyle and the athlete commission for the UCI.
Yes.
And then I also got a seat on the BMX commission, BMX
Yes.
Freestyle commission.
Which is an iconic position because it's, you know, big people like you and Nyquist and some mechanic from France, you know, some really high-end people.
Well, yeah. I appreciate that they had riders come to that meeting, and, you know, it wasn't just...
They need it.
And they need to hear the voice of the riders, and it wasn't just us. They also had, like, Greg Illingworth come in.
Yep.
And, you know, that was nice that they also value to have riders and not just the reps there, and not people only in suits. There was no one in a suit there. It was just, you know.
I mean, to be fair, some people look really nice when they wear a suit.
Sure.
I think I look pretty good in a suit.
I'm just going with, like, you know, what people are, what's presented to people, and then what's actually happening. It's, you know.
You know, I think it's the vocal minority. I think anybody that knows that, you know, how are you going to sit there and see Nyquist at the helm of this and be like, it's all these idiots in suits, when it's like, that's Nyquist. That's the Godfather, you know what I mean? Like, what that guy says goes. And yourself as well, you know, you've done so much for the sport of freestyle BMX for women, even when there was nothing to do. But anyways, so moving on, so you're on the UCI board, athlete commission. I don't know if you have a formal title, but you do a lot with the Vans events, the Vans Pro Cup series. I know Batters leans on you a lot. Do you have a formal title there, or are you just...
The women's BMX consultant.
Okay. And then you also...
I guess if you want to make it an official title, but...
No, it doesn't need to be official, but...
No, I mean, I partner with him, and I try to, like, stay in touch with the girls, and, you know, some of the rules and things, like, you know, they're still figuring it out, so it's a lot to read. I mean, and I'm sure maybe you can back me up on this. If you've ever written, like, a really detailed email that's, like, kind of tough to read, and then you send it to someone, and then they don't read it, and then they ask you all the questions that you spent time writing out all the answers to.
Yeah, I mean, this is the BMX industry.
Right. Okay, so I'm like I try to be the go-to person to decipher what all that, like, fine print is and stuff about, like, what's going on with the Vans thing on the side of the women's thing. So I'll be like, okay,
Gotcha.
So here's what they need from us.
Yep.
Boom.
Yep.
And then here, show up on this day, and it's going to be easy.
Let's have fun. Yeah. And then you also are kind of at the helm of any women's involvement in X Games as well.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I guess that started, first year at X Games was 2004, and that was the first ever demo we had there.
At 2004?
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Yeah, it was actually the first year of the mega ramp that they had, like Danny Way.
Yeah.
That was when, like, Fuel TV was around. You remember them?
The good old days. I'm not that young, unfortunately.
Okay, well,
who were the girls at the first one? Who's still standing? Just you?
Let's see. Well, let's see. There was me. Oh no, Corey Coffee was
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, Corey Coffee. We don't see much of her, but she still rides. Stacy Mulligan.
She's on mountain bikes like a lot, right?
Who's that?
Is Stacy? She's the one that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's a badass.
Killing it on mountain bikes. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, just at everything she does, really. But Ariel Martin. She's a racer.
Okay.
But she came out. I saw like some little special on Fuel TV. Her and maybe it was Alice Jung. Like one of those. They learned flips at Woodward West. It just opened, and I was like, "Whoa, hey, there's a demo, and I know you're in town. Do you want to come out?" Like at the time, it was harder.
So even in 2004, you weren't just a participant. You were kind of organizing it as well.
Yeah. That lady, the girl Kim from Women of Freestyle. I don't know if you remember that website.
Yeah.
So like I'd been in touch with her, and I can't say I single-handedly did it. Like we collaborated and just like between the two of us tried to get as many girls as we could that wanted to do that to show up, you know? It was a lot harder to get more than 10 girls anywhere back then.
Yeah.
You know, now it's like not too bad.
You're cutting people off and stuff like, oh, we're full.
Yeah.
So did you ever really have a desire to kind of get things more organized and whatnot, or did it all kind of fall onto you? Because I mean, you're doing so much behind the scenes. Like, did you have that fuel to your fire, or is it just nobody's doing it, so you've got to do it?
A little of both. I mean, it comes to a point where like I still want to ride, and maybe sometimes I don't want the responsibility of like being the one that people complain to or yell to, or you know, like just want to know. Like I don't have answers to some things, and I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to, you know. But so yeah, I mean, it would be cool if like, I don't know, anyone else wanted to step up and help too. But at this point, it's like, well, I've been doing it so long. I have everyone's information. I kind of became like a database for like a point of contact if people are looking for female riders, you know, like just from me being excited and wanting to meet everyone and ride with them, you know?
And I also think a factor is being at least somewhat organized, you know, and being on the ball and being a woman of your word. You know, I think there's such little of that in BMX that make things really difficult as far as following through, or at least doing your best to follow through when those opportunities present themselves.
Yeah, thanks.
I mean, do you still enjoy competing? Do you want to try to be in the Olympics, or is this kind of just you're cruising because you're out there, but you're kind of behind the scenes?
Well, you know, and that's still something I'm figuring out for myself. Like, well, I'm going to use these resources I have and see if I feel up for it. You know, like, can I get myself past, you know, all the injuries I've had and whatever excuses get in your head mentally that like can slow you down from riding and your best, you know? Like I already sacrificed a lot of myself, but I definitely am psyched to be a part of the journey and helping get points for USA. And, you know, if we can get 2 riders in the Olympics, even if it's not me that gets to go, like just to know I had a hand in it the first round, like, hell yeah, I'd be stoked to be, in some way, a figure that contributes in that way.
I think a lot of people look at you as this kind of behind-the-scenes figure, but you're still one of the best. You definitely are. I mean, the grind on the sub box in Australia, like, that was gnarly. I saw you doing nothing on a box jump the other day. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you can still, like, it wouldn't be the craziest thing ever if you were on the podium at one of these events.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, these girls inspire me, you know, and there was a time, like a couple of years actually, when I moved to Austin, it was like, I don't want to say like a lull, but it was for the women's side of events. And I think because Feast still offered a little bit of, you know, like, oh yeah, there's a girls class and they're trying to do things. And then the younger generation, like Hannah and Nikita, and, you know, then we saw Maka and, you know, like those girls started showing up, and there was like another wave of, like, they're the next wave of girl riders that want a contest series. Like for them, that's what motivates them to progress and have something to look forward to. And I realized like, oh man, like I kind of haven't planned a jam in a little while. I haven't, you know, like it's not just, this is cool that it's not on me, but there's events and they're going to them and they're doing their thing. And I was like, man, like it'd be cool if that was better for them than it is. So I showed up at one of them and wanted to help again and get involved again. And it just, you know.
I mean, on your end, I think you and I kind of have a similar schedule as far as being one of the maybe 4 or 5 people that pretty much go to all the Vans events and all the Feast events, to where you're spread pretty thin. Yeah.
This year has been intense, but I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything right now. It's awesome. Like just getting to I mean, man, even that van stop in Chile, for example,
Yep.
like there's been a couple of girl riders in South America that like I've been meaning to like somehow meet up with, and like that was the chance, and they were so stoked. I was stoked, and like I think the crowd was. It was a good turnout for the women, and I think next year, like each one of these events is only going to get bigger the more each of us can show up at some of them, you know?
Yeah, the progression both in skill and in numbers is crazy with the women. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And I'll end up, you know, even though it's completely dumb, occasionally commenting back to people on Facebook and stuff, like post a video of the girl riders and they'll be like, oh, how are they going to do this? Or if I was a girl, I'd be pro. And it's like, do you want to measure them against the males or do you want to measure them against themselves 2 years ago? Because if you want to just go off level of progression, look at the guys 2 years ago and the girls now, you know, that's an insane level of progression. What's going on is insane.
Yeah.
Like it's unreal how far these women have come in such a short time, you know? Even just a couple years ago, there was like 2 girls that would clear the box. Like Angie could jump the box. You know what I mean? That was pretty much the contest. And now there's, you know, girls doing like truck drivers over spines and stuff. Like this level of progression's insane. This isn't really a question. I'm just rambling, but
Well, it was always been a dream of mine. I had a video. I was like, man, the potential is there. Like all of us, girls, guys, whatever, we're riders, you know, and if you want to do something, you can, but it sometimes takes things like contests to motivate people to want to, you know, set goals and do better. You know, if you've ever ridden in a contest, you know, maybe you didn't ride as good as you thought you could, or you know you could, and then the next time you want to do better. You know, like before there was girls classes, like I would do that against the guys. I'd be like, all right, I remember my first contest, I made it down to like a roots jam, you know, and there's like over 100 riders.
Yep.
I think I got like 78th, and I was like, woo, I didn't get last, you know, and like that was like my first goal. Okay, pretty set, aimed low. I was like, all right, well, next year maybe I can get in the 60s, you know, and like, so whatever. And just like.
So come 2040, you should be winning the Roots Jam if there was one.
Right.
That makes sense, right? Simple math.
You know, but it was just like those things were like little goals I set for myself in my experiences with contests. And then now to have like a whole bunch of girls to ride with, we've got our own practice time, you know, like we're being taken seriously in a way that's like exciting. And now gapping past some of the bigger TV contests, for example, you know, giving us an actual class like X Games, we're going straight to the Olympics. It's crazy. There hasn't been a lot of other big events. I mean, thankfully Vans has given us so many opportunities at, you know, going global and including the women. Like that's been huge. And that's really motivated a lot of women to progress. And
I hope Jerry Batters gets the credit because he's a huge advocate for girls in BMX.
Yeah, no, he's been so supportive. I remember emailing DMC about, you know, hey, like, I saw you guys have girls skateboarding at the Vans US Open. Like, what do you think? We'll start off with a demo if we have to. Like, can we come check it out? I'd really love to go ride the course because selfishly, I really wanted to ride that bull. I mean, who wouldn't? It's just there for a week and you see it every year. And anyway, so he's like, all right, I'll see what I could do. And that first year, they were pretty closed up, you know, like on time. They didn't have enough time. So the next year, he's like, all right, we'll carve out some time for you, do a demo. Batters is like, dude, there's talks of the Olympics. I want to see it happen. Let's see this demo. Right after the demo, he shook my hand. He's like, I fully support what you girls are doing. You ripped it out there. Like, this is awesome. This has got to be a thing. Let's do it. So it's been so cool working with him and helping him. You know, he's been helping us. He's supporting our cause. He's giving us a platform. There's coverage for the women as much as there is for the men. And it's awesome.
Well, the support of Vans combined with having a guy like him in there that's really down for it, it's awesome, you know, especially in this day and age where so many shoe companies are disappearing and getting out of BMX. The fact that Vans keeps doing more, both in BMX as a whole and specifically for the women, is just like, if you're going to buy shoes, that's what you should buy. I mean, with all due respect, I know you ride for Etnies, but
yeah. I mean, you know, I'm loyal. You know, I'm not just taking the next free pair of shoes out there, but definitely like, but for what they're doing,
absolutely. This transcends any sort of sponsorship. This is more of an event organizer type of thing, and that's huge.
For sure. No, and he's Batters has been awesome. Like that whole Vans BMX Pro Cup crew. Like, you know, we're always chatting after each event, like getting psyched for the next one, and there's always good feedback about the women, seeing new faces turn up. Like, you know, Sydney, we got to finally meet.
You're not going to Woodward, are you?
I'm going to Woodward West.
Okay.
So exciting this year, since it overlaps with the Woodward East event. girls rule week at Woodward West.
That's a little bit sexist.
Well, instead of it's like, all right, man, like there's only, so many girls. So,
I was kidding.
I
It's
know
not
you're kidding.
sexist,
I know,
yeah.
but I just always going to give you crap back. So
That's fair.
So, basically, it's open to women at Woodward East, but since a lot of us are already going to be at Woodward West, we decided to have a contest, and Batters was down with it at the Crater. So there's going to be a Vans regional qualifier at the Crater on the same day as the contest for, AMS or whoever, the open qualifier at Woodward East.
Nice. That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah, and so I'm sticking around here until that starts.
Nice. What are there some girls that will be at that haven't really had the opportunity to get out before then? Any new faces that you're expecting, or?
Well, I know there's a camper, Jessie Gregory. She's
Yep.
going as a camper, but she's going to be allowed to enter. And I reached out to any girls I know in California if they can make it.
Yep.
Because it's awesome. You get to ride camp for the day if you weren't already planning on being there. There's going to be Caroline Buchanan is coming
awesome.
out.
Is she gonna ride?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the plan. So initially, I asked her if she wanted to judge, and she was like, "Well, I might be able to ride. I kind of think I might want to ride." I was
That'd be
like,
awesome.
"You know how many of us, including myself, would be way more stoked to see you riding and actually ride with you than be on the sideline? Hell yeah!" So, there's going to be a whole roster of some of the top girls that have been to some of the Vans events, some of them that, aren't able to make it to the international ones, but this is the closest one. We'll see Nikki,
Yep.
Natasha Wessel should be
Yep.
there. Angie, Paris, Nikita. I'll be there. I don't know. We'll just all be hanging out. It's going to be a good time.
That's awesome. I'll be in Pennsylvania, so you can go to hell.
Oh, well, wait a minute. There's going to be some of my lady friends over there.
Who's going to be in Pennsylvania?
Sounds like Charlotte Werther.
From England?
From England.
Oh, no way. That's
Yep.
awesome.
And
okay.
so is Emma Finnegan.
I know Emma's out there for the summer.
I think Danny Windhausen, Danny
Okay.
Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
She's going to pop by there and drop in because she's already visiting family in New York.
Nice.
And I'm not sure who else out at East is going to be able to make it but yet. I'm still trying to connect with some of the girls out there. I'm hoping we'll see some of the Pittsburgh girls come out, with the Hallahans coming out. Maybe they'll all get psyched. They all ride together. So we'll see some of them.
How did you, throwing it back a little ways, get into BMX in the first place, and how old were you?
Dang, I got kind of a late start. It was the end of high school, beginning of college. My friend Darren Meenan used to do man-made clothing.
Okay, yeah. I know him as Darren from Man-Made.
Right. Okay. So that guy. We were friends growing up, and my parents were remarried, so he lived near where my dad lived. I had my friends over there on the weekends, and I saw him there. And I lived out on Long Island in this town called Port Washington. I saw him in my hometown with just his bike, and I knew he didn't drive, and I was like, how'd you get here? What are you doing here? He's like, oh, we have some dirt jumps over there. I just came to ride the trails. I was like, in my hometown, there's something called trails and dirt jumps, and I don't know about it. What are you talking about? So I went down there, saw this amazing paradise, that these guys had built. They had their own little hangout. It just didn't seem like a real place. I was like, what? This is crazy. How does no one know this is here? I'm not going to blow it up, but this is just amazing. Are there any girls that do this? That this is the music stopped. No. No one's really ever asked us that, but no. And I was like, well, I'm intrigued. I really want to try it. And they're like, whatever. And I just kept bugging them. And
did you ride motorcycles or anything before this?
No.
Just straight up.
I was pretty bad at skateboarding and BMX. My car died. I needed another way to get around. And Darren finally caved and was like, all right, I'll help you get a bike together. And then one of his friends got a new frame and fork for Christmas. And then I bought his old one, and just kind of helped me piece together something to get started.
So was the first thing you rode dirt jumps?
Yeah. I was at the Port Trails. There's a section in the back that they referred to as the shit rhythm. And, I put a piece of plywood in the middle until I figured out how to clear it. And
nice.
Yeah, it was cool. And then unfortunately the trails, a year or two later, the land developer came and they plowed the trails. And
that's unfortunately a common story.
Yeah, and but at that time I'd been going away to school, and I met some local riders up by my college. And
where did you go to college?
Manhattanville. It was still in New York.
Okay.
Westchester County, near Purchase, and it was pretty close to the city, to New York City, so I would just take the train in, and I'd made friends with who who I didn't realize at the time were going to be some of the most profound street riders of all time, like Edwin and Vic Ayala. Like, those guys were cool and just became my good friends. And we rode everywhere together. Like, that's what I thought street riding was. Like, oh, we just go in the middle of the night at like 1 a.m. when no one's around, and we hit all these spots and we have free reign of the city, and then go home and whatever. I go to school, I do my thing, and then the next night, like every night, we'd all meet up in the city and then just go ride. And I was like, okay.
So up until this point, when you first got on a bike and whatnot, you hadn't seen any other women riding freestyle at all?
No, I think Erin Donato, a Flatlander, was like the first that I like found in the Standard Country. She had a video part there, and I saw her. She had like a small like 2-page write-up in an issue of Ride. Okay. BMX.
I know that name, so I probably saw that magazine or saw her along the way somewhere.
Yeah, and so I think it wasn't until, it was probably like the first year I started riding, I ended up, there was like a CFB out at Woodward Woodward East. Woodward West wasn't even around then. And so I went there with some homies from Pennsylvania, and we, while we were there, the girl Kim, who does Women of Freestyle, she started a website. This is like the beginning of the internet, mind you. This is like AOL email addresses and everything, you know. And so I run into Kim there, and I'm like, hey, like, or she sees me on a bike and is like, hey, girl on a bike, I ride a bike too. Like, what's your name? And we start talking, and she's like, yeah, I do this website. I was like, you're the girl that does that website? So at the time it was...
OG internet celebrity.
Right. So, but she's just from some small town in Indiana, and she rides Flatland, and was just made it in case there's any other girls out there that ride that.
That's cool.
So they would, you know, if they had an email address, they could send her an email with a picture of, you know, you had like a little profile, and there was only five.
I remember that. Yeah.
Five girls on it. It was like her, Corey Coffey, this other girl that Corey rode with. And it was cool because those two had like a racing background, Corey and her friend. And it was them at that Skate Street spot, like doing no-footers and stuff.
In Ventura. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd seen that park in videos and was like, whoa, they get to ride there? Like, no way. Because at that time, I'd just become obsessed with BMX and like reading all the magazines, like borrowing all Darren's videos, you know, and just like trying to figure out and learn as much as I could about it. And anyway, so Kim, we come to talking, and we're like, she's like, I want to do a jam. I want to do like an all-girls BMX jam. I'm just trying to figure out where to do it. And I was like, well, actually, I just met the first other girl that I ever met that rode in person in New Jersey. It was my friend Stacy.
Stacy Mulligan.
And she was a gymnast. And the other half of the building her gym was in that she went to like her whole life, they opened the Incline Club skate park.
No way.
Toms River. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So she was like, what the heck is this? I got to check this out. So she would sneak over, borrow people's bikes, and Staff Mail Order was there, and she made friends with like George Hornig and you know, those guys, and she would just ride their bikes until finally they pieced together a bike for her out of spare parts. And I didn't believe it when my guy friends like Vic and them were like, yo, Nina, we found you a girl rider. I was like, what? Yeah, right. I'm going to show up. It's going to be like Vinny in a wig or something, you know, like I don't know what to expect. So I get there. I'm fully like RoboCopped out with all my protective gear. And she shows up in a leotard and booty shorts. And I was like, hey, no, we were both looking at each other like, what the hell? Like, I'm like, you ride in that? And she's like, how do you ride in that? You know? And so
I'm imagining like, when you're walking a dog and it sees another dog and they're just like, what the hell? Like, do I hate this? Do I like this?
It wasn't that primitive, but it was definitely, it was cool. She's a couple years younger than me, but like not much at all. She's super level-headed and awesome. And we hit it off and became best friends. And immediately, like, I wanted to like road trip with her and go like whatever. So I tell her about Kim's idea, and we end up having the first ever jam. It was a weekend-long thing. It was at the Incline Club. About 2 weeks before the first ever jam, Stacy crashes. Her chain breaks. She's just learned wall rides and breaks her arm. And at the time, she was hiding the fact that she rode BMX from her family. And like,
just because it was
they drop her off
establishment.
Yeah, she was supposed to be going to gymnastics and doing something with that. And so she would sneak over and ride BMX. And then, you know, so that was kind of like, oh crap, how am I going to explain this? Because they're going to know I did it not doing gymnastics. So anyway, Kat was out of the bag, and she was bummed because now the like history is being made at her local park, and she came to hang out, but I know she was crushed because she really wanted to ride with everyone. Oh yeah,
especially when up to that point you've ridden with one or two girl riders and there's actually a jam. Like I can't imagine not taking part in that, you know?
Totally.
It would be like if you bought like a whole bunch of booze and had people come over so you could like drive everybody home when you're sober. You know?
Yeah, poor Stace. So she had to sit that one out. But we got Aaron Donato to come out, and we did one day at the park, and the next day, like in the parking lot with Aaron. So it was almost.
Yeah.
We went to Rutgers, you know, the university there, and then that's where she rides. Brian Tunney was there. Like it was cool. Like it was just like, oh, what you guys like? I don't know anything about Flatland. Look at these aliens. You know, like what is that? You just have a front brake. But it was cool. You know, they taught us some Flatland moves, and we just did what they do for the day. And then
how many girls showed up?
I think we had like 10.
Nice.
But there was a girl that showed up from Japan that like unannounced. Like she heard about it. She saw the post on Kim's website, and Sayori, I think her name was. And she just, there was her pic. She, after the jam, had a picture up, and it was her lake jumping. She learned backflips into the lake. And it was just the craziest thing. Like, I couldn't believe that like, yeah, thinking that was my first time meeting Corey Coffey. She came out with a bunch of girls from Woodward East, like whatever. She just happened to be out there, so they road tripped from there to Jersey, and it was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like legitimate grassroots, like probably the first girls' jam ever.
Yeah. Kim and I both have pictures of it somewhere, disposable camera style.
What year do you think that was, if you recall?
That was 2001.
It's so crazy to think that 2020... it's in the Olympics, and 2001 was the first ever formal gathering, informal gathering at that, you know?
Yeah. And
that might be like the fastest moving sport ever, you know?
Oh man. Yeah, it had its ups and downs. It's amazing to think that we're not as even further than we are, but at the same time, like, I think it needed its time to build roots like it is now.
Freestyle BMX itself is still so young. People tend to forget that, you know, when you want to compare it to these sports that were created in like the early 1900s and whatnot. Like so many, especially when you look at the Olympics, a lot of them are older than that. Like these sports are all so new to where obviously it's going to take some time for people to accept them. And I think we're kind of getting to that era where people like yourself and others are getting to the age where they're going to have these jobs where they're running shit, and they're going to have a different impression of this than the guy that's in his 60s that when he was growing up, that didn't exist. You know? So I think we're in the midst of a big shift, and I think we're seeing it out with the Olympics adding skateboarding and surfing and BMX and whatnot. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that there's just certain things you accept as a norm, and if you never accepted this freestyle bike riding or skateboarding as something that wasn't just kind of like a joke, like if you always thought it was that, nothing's going to change your mind.
Yeah, that's true. But in some ways, you know, what's so weird is that like if something is in the X Games or if something is now in the Olympics, it's like it gives it some weird validation that like it's a legitimate thing, even though beforehand, like, I mean, I gravitated towards freestyle, I think, because it was underground, you know, like not because it was that there was no organization, there was no rules. It was just what you make of it. And, you know, it is very strange to kind of just go with this, but I'm trying to like go with it in a good way to make sure that, I guess I'm just being protective of like the future of the ladies. You know, I want to make sure that that's like ironed out enough.
When people ask me about the whole Olympic situation, my take on it is, yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, there's new people coming in, and the minute they fuck up, I'll be happy to call them on it. I will, you know, and I'll be happy to talk about it publicly and whatnot. And I can truly say up until this point, I don't think any line's really been crossed. I don't think they've done anything completely out of line. I think there have been some changes. I think a lot of this is meeting in the middle. I think they've put good people in place, people like yourself and like Ryan Nyquist. You know, so I really do think that if and when something just completely out of line happens, there's going to be a lot of people, A, will have to go through first, and B, that will call them on it. You know, maybe it's this anti-establishment, you know, punk rock roots in our brains and sport, but I don't think they can get away with just doing something totally stupid, and it just happens, you know, unless I'm totally missing something here.
Yeah, well, one thing that I want to like, I don't know if this is like a PSA or whatever, that it's just, I think a lot of us need to stand together moving forward when it comes to decisions and stuff, because we've seen it happen where like, you know, someone is trying to make a, you know, put their foot down, and then someone else is willing to stand up and take their spot. And I'm like, dude, like nothing's going to get done that way. Like you gotta, and so, you know, I think that if whatever we do moving forward, if we can all just be on the same page in some way, or even if we all have as riders have to compromise something, like if we can stand together moving forward, make decisions, that would be a lot more helpful to help get what we want, And I think we've seen a lot of changes happening, whether we, could embrace them or not, like just with the whole, I didn't really, like with Hoffman and stuff, like I totally respect him and everything that went down with them. And, it was really hard on my heart to have to like, well, what do I do? Like I want to still look out, like they're going to be moving forward with or without us. I kind of just want to look out for the women.
Yeah.
Sorry, dudes. I got to jump ship and go like try to do what I feel is right to look out for these ladies and, and the riders, but they're doing it with or without us. And I just felt bad. Like, oh my God, like why is this so hard?
I understand your feeling there, but at the same time, to act like what Hoffman's doing won't have a place or whatever based on Olympics is completely insane. He's going to keep doing what he's doing in a huge way.
Yeah.
Like he's such a, important part of the sport, an important part of events. It's great to have different types of events with different heads at the front of them. You know what I mean? Even look at skateboarding, whereas you got X Games and whatever, and then you also have Street League, and you know what I mean? There's no reason that all of these can't flourish. Totally. And I think it's safe to say, and you'll agree, these UCI events absolutely aren't for everybody. It's a certain genre of human being that's okay with pissing in a cup if they win, making sure they're not smoking too much weed that day, it's very formal. It's very different,
It's totally different. And it's like, and it's like a radio station. You can tune in or you can tune out. Like
100%.
And that's the thing that I have to like feel like I need to remind people, because really you don't, it's going to be one event. It's going to be on one of the largest stages out there. It could be really exciting. It'd be awesome if BMX could shine.
Yeah.
And I just want to see it through, at least the first time around, like this is history for me. I never would have, this is like not an opportunity that was around when I started riding.
Yep.
And so I think it's exciting to be a part of it and see it through. And yeah, no disrespect to anyone in their past and everything they've done. Like I totally look up to Hoffman and DMC and all those guys. Like they're so passionate. And I think that with everything they've done, we wouldn't be here if it 100%. Wasn't for them.
Yeah.
Like they're the dudes,
Well, I don't think yourself or anybody else has done anything disrespectful to them. I guess maybe if they wanted to be...
I talked about standing united, and it's like, well, it's like I'm picking a side because I'm working with them to look out for the greater good, but I'm not really picking a side. Like I'm standing by the women.
Yeah, that is your side.
That is my side, yeah. And it's and it just seems like I don't know. That was their. I didn't fully understand their whole path and struggle trying to make this happen earlier than it did.
Yeah,
and so. This time around, some different people somehow made it happen. And it's, we're all going to see a lot of crazy things happen as this unfolds and moves forward. So I don't know. Let's just enjoy the ride.
Yeah. And as far as like what DMC and Matt are doing, you look at like, you'd have a hard time not saying the Vans events are probably the coolest events in the world right now.
They sure are.
And that's all Dennis. And Dennis has always put on amazing events, but like
totally
that Vans event in Spain last year is probably the best contest in the history of BMX.
It was so good. It's hard to think that could even be like matched at all, but like each event, there's such good energy, and it's
different energy. Everything's different.
Yeah, it's its own. Each event is its own, but the energy at those events is truly amazing, and there's a lot of the roots of BMX feeling, like when we, like the Roots Jam. No fun, but really like it's just exciting and everyone's going wild and there's so much support and it's different.
I think
that's real BMX to me.
the more gateway drugs we can give kids, the better, in this, not actual drugs, but in the sense of check this out. BMX is cool. Get on a bike and then find your path. You know what I mean? Like, how many people got introduced to BMX? You listen to like Nigel Sylvester interviews. Nigel found BMX through Dave Mirra and the X Games. And what Nigel's doing couldn't be any more backwards from that. You need to get on your bike and then pick your own path. But step one is to get on your bike. However you find it, like, a lot of kids are probably going to see the Olympics and think BMX is cool and hop on a bike and do it for a couple years and be like, I'm not into that at all, but this Vans event is cool. Or I just want to go ride street in my hometown. Like, pick your path, but just get on a goddamn bike.
Yeah, and keep an open mind.
100%. What are some things you think we could be working towards to getting even more women riding?
Well, I think so this is what's crazy. It's like, I like want to talk about if there was more events, but we just went from having like just the Vans event, maybe an X Games demo and whatever like get-togethers we have, to now there's like 22 events in a year.
Yep.
If you're doing both series, you're like, holy crap, like, how am I going to go to work or go to school or like afford these things, you know? So it's like overwhelming. There's so many events and it's amazing. Who would have thought we'd ever have that problem where you have to pick and choose which events you go to now, for on the women's side of things anyway. But I think just like there's some girls over in Pennsylvania that are doing awesome things. They have the first ever Caddy Woods Women's Jam. They do like a weekend.
That's awesome.
And like just events like that, I think, you know, we can't really count on like these TV contests to grow our sport. It's all about what we're doing to give back and like doing our own jams and events like that. You know, like the first WAF Jam, you know, we did it annually. You know, we try to do little trips and things. I think just seeing more of those connections happening is going to help grow our sport. Of course, it would be awesome if like you know, like if some of these contests would like build a park and leave it there, but like have more of, you know, just that would be really cool instead of like tagging, you know, bringing a whole bunch of wood ramps places. What if they just built a concrete park and like left it there?
Yeah.
You know, like that I think would do more for the community and growing the women's side of BMX, like, and just BMX. Never mind the women's. I know I'm all about this women's thing, but I couldn't always talk like that. It's really just about getting more kids on bikes, you know?
Yeah. I guess, you know, like you said, it's hard to say more events when there already are so many more events. But I guess you could say more events in the sense of so many of these are all over the world. If there were more events as far as like you could drive to within 4 hours or something, that would be awesome. Even if it's on a smaller scale, even if it's a jam, you know, because I think most women out there will be like, oh, finally, there's all these events for women. Now I have to go to Australia and Spain and Hungary and China, you know, to where if we could just have more things happening on a more local basis, throw it back to further grassroots, like the original jams you were talking about having, I don't think we can lose that part of the picture. That's such an important part of the picture still.
Yeah. I mean, anytime I go on a trip, I know if I'm cutting through a town where there's some girl riders living, like I'll hit them up. Even if I don't know them, and I'm like, I think this girl lives over here. Hey, do you know any girls over here? Like, you know, I'll reach out to them on Instagram. I'll send them a DM. I'm just like, yo, gonna go ride this park. If you live nearby and can make it, like, come shred with us.
Is it still with the girls when you're at a park and another girl rolls up, you're automatically friends?
I'd like to say that, but I feel like it hasn't, for some reason, always been the case. I think it just becomes that way with the people, you know, like I realize we can't be good friends, but for me, I'm always like, hey, like, what's up? I'm always like excited. That's BMX to me. You see another rider, you know, in some small town you've never been to, like, you're like, yo, what's up? Like, it's an icebreaker, you know? Yeah. But I feel like depending where you are, you know, sometimes you run into that other person who's riding and they're just like, you know, you try to be cool and they're just like, why are you talking to me? It's
a gift and a curse when BMX gets to a certain size that it's such a diverse community that not everybody's going to be your friend, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, like, all right, I guess that's just how it is sometimes. But, you know, for me, I'm just still really stoked. It's not still a normal thing that's just like, well, whatever, there's a girl rider. I'm still stoked to see another girl rider, you know, so.
Yeah. Are there girl riders out there that, are you still discovering new girl riders, like, that you don't even know?
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
I was just in New York City. Like, I went back to visit my family. I had like 3 days. And I go to there's that pump track next to the Brooklyn Bridge or the Williamsburg Bridge, whatever bridge over there. Yep. And there was this little girl and her little sister just ripping that pump track. And like, you know, one of them crashed and I was like, oh no. But like, she got right back up. She saw me riding and was like, I want to ride like you. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing. So, I mean, that was awesome because I don't know this little girl. And like, it was just getting out there more and like actually interacting, slowing down, like helping her with what she was doing that like, I mean, I don't know if that girl will continue riding for the rest of her life, but hell, she had a great day and like learned a bit and got me psyched.
I think perception is huge because even if she doesn't ride, having the perception that it's cool and people are nice, you know what I mean? I think that's huge. Yeah. It would be like if you went to a new foreign country and like, I didn't have the best time. I'm probably not going to go back, but a lot of really nice people, you know, it's positivity rolls on, you know? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. That's pretty cool. At one point in your life, I know for a while you lived in Ohio. How did you end up in Ohio? Because you were from New York and then Ohio, correct?
Yeah. So, like I said, I started riding like pretty much the beginning of college. Yeah. Right. So as soon as I finished college, like 2003, I'd been road tripping out to Cleveland a bunch to go ride that indoor
Changa
park.
and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Did you ride Section 8 or was that before your time?
yeah, no, I definitely rode Section 8. That
nice.
was on the way to Changa. So we'd always, as soon as you cross the Ohio border, it was boom, we're going there. And then, so we'd ride there, then go to further into Cleveland, and then just like spend the whole day at Changa and then like drive back, you know, like serious weekend warrior stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
8 hours each way, you know, or longer depending what traffic you hit. But anyway, so I ended up moving out there. All the vibes at Changa were awesome. I mean, my mom was completely distraught. Like, you just finished college. You could get an amazing job here in the city. But
what is your degree?
Music and management.
So you probably couldn't get a job.
Well,
I'm kidding.
No, really. But the joke is, now I can organize my CDs, which don't exist anymore, right? So
I just go to on iTunes. I hit sort. I guess it's even Spotify now, not even iTunes, but
right, yeah. So I came to the realization while I was in college, like when that whole MP3 revolution happened, and you know I was changing everything. I was going to school for music and like music, and to get a job in the music industry, I was like, well, if I've learned anything, I pretty much just need to get that piece of paper because I'm going to end up having to go back to school for whatever it is I want to specialize in.
Yep.
So I'm going to take everything I can and, you know, that I learned about doing events and promotions and marketing and all that. And I'm just going to take as much as I can with that and put it towards building events for women and doing things like that. So it was really cool because about a year or two after I moved to Cleveland, I ended up getting hooked up by McNeil. Like John Heaton used to come down from Canada all the time and ride. And when he had his signature frame, it was like a really short back end. He's like, I hope this
21.25 top tube, I believe.
No,
I remember it was a short top tube.
It was like...
I was psyched on it and I wanted it, but it was
like
too short.
Just shorter than it was like a 1975 or something.
Was it that small?
I think it was a 20, but the back end was short. That was the thing.
Yep.
Super short, because remember backflip to manual thing, that was his thing.
Yep.
You know, so he needed a shorter back end to be able to do that, like consistent or whatever, you know, that was just his setup. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'd run one of those. Like I've been going to those Metro Jams, you know, and trying to ride against the dudes forever, and I guess I finally like did well enough for Miran to be like, well, I guess girls can ride bikes. You know, he'd always give me a hard time. But anyway, that was cool. But yeah, so the deal with riding for McNeil, I was like, yeah, I'll rock your stuff if you can let me throw my own girls class at one of your contests, because every year it is so hard. Like whenever they'd open up the contest amateur series, it would come down to like you have to call on a landline or whatever, you know, and call Canada to register. And it would sell out in like 30 minutes, you know? So like if you couldn't always get in every year, they'd sell out like Britney Spears tickets or something, you know? So
yeah. Probably the same era as well.
Yeah. So Stacy and I were trying to get in there, and like one year she was able to register both of us. And, you know, like she's from Jersey, I'm in New York. We're in two different places. I'm at the radio station, like using all their landlines to like dial up and call to get through, because the line would be busy forever. And then like you just keep calling and calling.
Who answered? Was it Jay?
It'd be like Jamie McIntosh and like Darcy.
Okay.
It'd be like those dudes, you know? And so that was really cool. So anyway, Jay was like, yeah, you could do a girls class, but it's going to be in Vancouver. And I was like, what? I've never been to Vancouver. That's so far.
Is that just because that's where the Metro Jam was, or?
Well, that was where the next one was going to be.
Gotcha.
So he did one in Toronto and one in Vancouver.
Gotcha. Yep.
So I was like, Vancouver, how the hell are we all going to get out there? Like, he's like, well, I'll help you get out there, but you got to like make it happen with everyone else. So did whatever we could. So I was like, I think Stacy was like studying abroad at this point. Like she moved to Spain, and I was like, well, shoot, I got to make this happen. Kim, help, you know? And so it was rad though. Like for 2 years we had the class, and then he was done with Metro Jams, but it was awesome. It was like some of the biggest turnouts earlier on for the women. And I don't know, Cleveland, I was able to do a lot for the women's, you know, growing, you know, developing my riding, working on my riding. I learned so much riding there, and yeah, no one in New York could understand why the hell Cleveland. They were like,
most people go the other way, Cleveland to New York City, not vice versa.
Exactly.
You know?
They're like, I brought my mom to Changa once. She like would barely get out of the car. She's like, it smells outside. There's like a swamp out back, and it was like low tide. She's like, I can't. What is this? An old supermarket? Is this? Where are you taking me?
What? And then when did you go to Austin?
I made it to Austin I moved there in 2011.
Okay.
So going on 7 years now.
What prompted that move?
Lots of road trips there to escape Cleveland.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the weather. I mean, the music, all of the things that I love, food, friends, such good people, the T1 ramp. I was just sold, you know. I was like, I always wanted to move there sooner, but I was like, oh, I feel like that's That's just like, I'm going to end up there forever if I go sooner.
It's kind of the final destination.
Yeah. It seemed that way at first, and it's been 7 years and it went really fast, but I don't know. I don't know where's next yet.
Austin isn't forever?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't want to say I'll be anywhere forever. I just feel like I'm still exploring.
That's reasonable. How much more time do you think you have in Austin?
I don't know. I mean, I'm having a really good time. It's been almost a month out here now.
Yeah. Do you have a real job right now?
Kind of. It's on hold. I have like 3 jobs
I know.
on hold
Yeah,
right
I know
now.
you're always hustling between a couple different places.
Yeah, I try to work music festivals and sit on a chunk of money, or I work at Bicycle Sports Shop, back home. And then I work at a coffee shop, Flat Track Coffee.
Yeah.
So between those 3, like doing well at some of the contests and winning best trick here and there is really keeping me afloat.
Do you have a place to live in Austin right now?
Yeah, I got it.
So you're still paying rent out there? And...
yeah. Well, I just kind of moved some stuff into a friend's room.
Nice.
That didn't have anything in it, and it's like, yeah. If you don't mind, I was just gonna pay for a storage unit and just figure out what my plan is. But yeah, all right. Cool.
So
that's home base.
After this long trip, is it back to Austin?
Maybe.
Or is it kind of just nomading it around for a bit?
Well, okay, so I definitely need to go back to Austin because I definitely need to go home and pay bills and make some money. But I'm gonna road trip after camp to Colorado, go visit Stacy, ride
Nice.
some mountain bikes, ride some BMX bikes.
Does she live in Colorado now?
She does.
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go spend some time with her.
Nice.
And then keep on trucking back to Austin, and then the regular contest schedule, feasts, vans, all that stuff is just gonna keep coming. So
Gets pretty crazy.
yeah, we're about this was the longest I've been in quotes home, but I'm not even home. I'm here. So.
Yeah. No, I had the same kind of thing just because I just went to the Boise X Games qualifier event. But I mean, I'm probably in this house you're in right now, tops 10 days a month. Tops. You know what I mean? And it's embrace it, but at the same time, I don't embrace paying for it.
Yeah.
California's not cheap. But so let's talk a little bit about sponsorship for women in BMX. I think you were the first woman that ever formally got sponsored, which I guess was the McNeil deal.
No, I want to say, sorry, but I'm going to correct you. I think it was Corey Coffee.
Kink?
Corey Coffee got hooked up by Fox.
Okay.
Right? And then I think the deal with Kink, I remember she got
Was that before you had the McNeil deal?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think she rode for Kink. And then, McNeil, that was that was the year of my first Roots Jam, right? So that was 2002. I think that was 2002. Yeah, so then, I didn't ride. I don't think I got hooked up with McNeil until 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what year did you go on DK?
2007. 2006 or late 2006.
Well, I know I'm correct about this, that you were the first woman to get a signature product.
For
correct?
freestyle, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah?
Yeah, DK helped me make the Nina bars.
Is that the only signature product a woman has had in BMX?
I don't know. Well, no, Caroline Buchanan, she has that Strider bike thing. I don't know.
She has a Strider bike?
Yeah.
Like for children?
Yeah.
Does she have kids? She doesn't have kids, does she?
No, but I mean, there's a big market for that, and she came up with it. I don't know.
Yeah, cool. More power to her. No, she kicks ass. So I was just thinking that it's kind of crazy that as this has grown with BMX, it's finally a time now when you look at the lineup of girls at an event, and most of them have sponsors, whereas, even just yesterday, Jesse's on Rockstar. I think that's the first legit energy drink deal for a female rider,
Yeah.
What's your take on all that? Obviously it's a positive, but do you think this is any negativity coming along with this? Is this making it too corporate in any way, or is this all kind of a positive thing? Do you think these companies have good intentions or just trying to hop on board the train as it moves forward, or what's your take on all this?
It's exciting. I like to see more companies get involved because even if it's just one of them being the first, I'm hoping that it will kind of inspire other companies to hop on board and start supporting the women. And with that, we're just going to keep seeing more of the progression that we've been seeing.
Yeah.
But it'll just enable the women to focus more on that than for example, I have like 3 jobs, you know what I mean? Like, like you'll be able to see the women out there more, and maybe we'll start to see a bigger boom in the amount of women or girls starting to find riding. And I mean, even little kids are like, they have no filter, like they see a girl do something, like, what? Like, let me do, like I've been riding with a lot of little kids over at Claremont while I've been here, and, they see me do something. They're like, I want to do that. And I'm like, all right, well, let me see what you got. I want to do that, so whatever.
Do you think if there were more signature products for girls, it would make girls excited to buy them? Like, did a lot of girl riders buy your bars?
I don't know. I don't know, actually. I don't know, like, how that went.
Yeah.
But the thing with bike parts, I think it'd be cool. I mean, like, T1 just gave me a colorway of a Reuben frame.
Fucking awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, that was a total surprise, too, by the way.
I think you said that. Did you not pick the color, or did you?
No, I picked the color, but I thought it was just getting, like, one, for me. I didn't know there was going to be a whole bunch for other people to buy or whatever.
That color's super good.
Thanks. Yeah, it took me a long time to pick it out. I really like that. But, yeah, so, I think there was always, in my mind, like, the worry of, like, ever limiting, like making a women-specific BMX part,
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, I think it comes down to not whether you're a guy or a girl. It's like, is that person, like, do you like that person? Do you like the way that person rides? Do you like that? Do you look up to that person?
Yeah, you run that risk with any signature part.
Totally. Like, well, I really like this person as a rider, but I'm not running those bars. Like, what the hell, like, or whatever, like that could be how it goes completely. Like,
my dad and I were looking at fairly high-end guitars the other day, and there was this beautiful, like, green hollow body Gretsch, and it was like $4,000, but it was super, super sexy. And we were both talking about, like, oh man, like, one of us might need to get that. Then we read about it, and it was Bono's Gretsch. We're like, fuck that.
Moving on. Yeah.
It could have just been nobody's, and they might have got $4,000 out of us, but.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, I mean, I think it would be cool, but I think on the women's side of thing, I think just it's becoming a little, I don't know. I just feel like it's not so much about, like, the bike parts and the women. It's more about just, like, I mean, the women have been bringing their own, like, sense of fashion. And, like, I see some people, like, trend setting and other girls starting to dress how other girls dress. And, I like that. I think it's fun. It's awesome to see that.
It's a mirror of society. We get it in the men's. That's when you know something's growing.
Yeah. And so it's pretty cool. I like seeing the trends amongst the girl riders, and then just, like, seeing how far it can go,
Yeah. Yeah. I'll wrap it up here. I know you have places to go. Do you feel like, based on the time and energy you've put into everything for the women, do you generally feel like you get the respect that I think you deserve? Do you think these younger girls understand what you've put in, what you've been through? I
don't think I can really expect them to yet. It's one of those things that, like, I guess I'm older and wiser in some ways, and, like, some of them aren't going to get it. And some of them, I mean, I'm not the type of person to tell them about it either. Like, I can call people out on stuff, but it's just, I don't know. It's more for me, I'm just like, yo, just focus on riding. Everyone just shut up. Like, just hang tight. I'll let you know when the next event is. Like, it's just hard. It can be hard sometimes, but I really think that I don't know. I'm not looking at myself as, like, that person, I guess. I just want to see things through the best way possible. And if I'm that person, then, well, shoot, I don't know.
I think you accidentally are, whether you like it or not. What do you think about California? Is a move out here possible, or is that...
If I can make it work somehow, that'd be cool. But, I mean, I'm not holding my breath, I'm flexible. I still want to go. There's still a lot of other places I want to see. I want to go explore Colorado some. I'd like to go even back east, like, there's so many cool events going on there, just, like, on a local level, all over Pennsylvania, Connecticut, like, all those people up
I was seeing all the ones that Crandall put on, like the...
Oh, in Virginia.
All those looked awesome. Like,
Everywhere on the East Coast you could drive to. It's so close. Where Texas, I'm just kind of there. Unless you're, like, a jet setter, you're not really... Time is money. You can't really road trip places as easily, Or
kind of on an island.
Yeah.
Out in the middle of the beautiful Southern Ocean. Final question for you. Everybody has to answer. Who is your favorite BMX rider of all time?
Oh, man, that's hard.
If it was easy, it wouldn't be the last question.
Damn. All right. Well, that's so hard. Why does there have to be only one? Well, one of my favorite riders and just humans in general has been Garrett Burns. Like, he's definitely been someone I've looked up to. And in general in BMX, I think it's so cool that it's so small that you can meet, like, someone that you look up to, or, like, someone you're a fan of riding. Like, BMX is small like that. cozy where like if you go to that hometown, like in that person's local spot, chances are you're going to run into them. Or if you go to a contest, you're going to, like whatever. But it's been cool just becoming friends with him over the years, and like us both growing and changing into adults, and like, he's a dad, and getting to travel and see him still do what he loves. Like it's definitely been inspiration, and set the, kind of confirmed that like no matter what path I'm on, if it's what I want to be doing, then I'm doing something right.
I think that's a beautiful way to close it. Anything else you want to say?
I'll see you out there, guys. Make sure you say hi. Don't be shy.
On behalf of everybody, thanks for everything that you do. I don't think you get enough credit, and I really do know you put a lot of time and effort into this. So I think that people should buy you more drinks. And also me. People should buy me more drinks too.
You can be my stunt drinker. How about that?
Are you not drinking?
I'm off the sauce, really.
Grow up.
I want to wake up early and ride and feel good, man.
The joys of getting older. All right. Thanks, Nina.
See you. Thank you.
All right. That does it for this episode. Follow Nina on Instagram at Nina_burrito. You heard that correctly. And just remember, it doesn't count if you don't pull the rollback. See you next week.